All right, and welcome back to Character Spotlight, where we take a deep dive into the characters that make up Lotusville.
Lotus, Lotus.
All right, so we got Chris here today. So, Chris, go and tell everybody the name of your character, race, and class.
He is Kano Trollsbane, Leonin, um, barbarian fighter.
Yeah, and why did your character come to Lotusville?
So we talked about a backstory, and I've changed it like 9 times before
Sure.
we started playing.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he was taken young from God. Um, he was kind of brought up to be like a bodyguard, bouncer, enforcer type, for a pretty bad guy. Like that was his attitude. Everything, intimidation or take it by force. I'm not going to let people bully me.
You're going to bully people instead.
Yeah, that's where the aggressive part comes from.
Yeah.
Um, so, then he did the arena fights and he just got tired of all the violence. And,
Uh,
so he escaped, got on the ship with Jarthur before he met him, and then off to Dandelion.
and you went back to the arena in Dandelion almost immediately and had some more bloodshed.
Yeah,
All right, how would you describe Kano in a few words?
um, fiercely loyal. He just takes no crap. He's pretty true to himself.
Nice. Has your character developed any friendships with those around you? Do you have like any bonding moments that stick out that kind of drew you to some of the other characters?
Um, Jarthur definitely.
Mm,
The way I played it in my head is Jarthur being unknown kind of reminds him of his younger siblings before he left. So he kind of pictures that sometimes. Plus, Jarthur's the only person that's ever pulled Kano to the side and actually had a physical conversation. If you recall when he was asking him about, like, hey, when we go to fight, have you fought these? What are their weaknesses? What are
sure.
their strengths? Can you show me some stuff?
Hmm.
So he's kind of taking a special bond to Jarthur. And then there's Zephyr that's kind of like agonized, kind of like, here, do this, or
Yeah,
calm down, big guy, and then Zoro, he's tolerating for the moment, but after the arena fight, he's looking at him in a different light. So I think it's going to be one of those ones where it builds, but it's just not clicking yet.
sure, sure. Um, can you share a particularly memorable or impactful moment that Kano has experienced through the campaign? Maybe something that changed their frame of reference, point of view, something like that?
So when I made him, he was one of those ones I don't need anybody, all that. And then once Jarthur took him aside, he's kind of, well, we don't need to be so physical. So then when we did the spider thing,
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to throw it in there where he was like, all right, I'm not going to fight him and take what I want. I'm going to try to ask
sure.
and see how it
Yeah.
works out.
And I was proud of that because that was my first combat encounter that you guys just completely circumnavigated. And like I've introduced like chances of that and no one's ever taken them up on. And then like the most aggressive character in Kano is the one that's like, yeah, I'm gonna go past these charisma checks.
Well, I knew we were doing the arena, and I was like, I really don't want to lose a bunch of health and then
Yeah.
try to fight again. So we're going to see what happens.
Sure, yeah, and it worked out well. You got what you needed, got some spider teeth, and just
Yep.
dipped, straight up dipped.
Yep.
What was that? Was that that was 2 sessions ago, right? So that was 429, or was it 3 sessions?
I think it was three. I think it was
Okay, maybe it
428.
was. Okay, got you. So we weren't recording at that point. Um, what's like the funniest or most surprising thing that's happened to Kano so far?
Um, I don't know. There's been a couple. Like the very first session, which is a shame we didn't record because there was a lot of stuff going
Yeah,
on. We went to the Goblin Cave, and then Maria, in character, out of character, was like, "Let's take everything," and I was like, "Fine, I'm going to grab the bookcase and rip it off the wall
yeah.
and start trying to open it up." And you've got a secret room
Hmm.
playing.
With some magic loot and a couple more mini bosses.
Yeah, that Jarthur. pretty much wrecking John's boss,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then the play have been the highlights I think
Yeah.
so far,
Sure.
especially the play because when I read it and then David's over here going
Yeah.
meow,
Meow. Yeah.
and I'm like, man, he's just
Yeah.
just like a
He
little
played it
cat at
up.
this point.
Sure.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. So that actually brings us to the next two questions, which you somewhat kind of answered. In what is your favorite thing another player has done, and then your favorite thing that a DM
Yeah.
has done. So let's go with the player thing first. So out of everything you mentioned, what like sticks out as your favorite that someone else has done at the table?
I don't know because everybody's done like kind of crazy stuff here
Mm-hmm.
and there. Like some of the way David uses his magic
Mm-hmm.
for Jarther, some of it's pretty funny. Watching John try to hide sometimes and failing miserably,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. But I don't know. I think probably the Phantasmal Force with the boss
Yeah. Yeah.
and just wrecking the whole thing
Sure.
was pretty great.
Yeah, and for reference for the viewers, since we don't have that recorded, so basically there was two sessions where I let John DM and I took control of a player character. So we went to another continent which he was controlling. So then he had a boss, and David cast Phantasmal Force, which is usually not super powerful, but in this particular instance, it was the perfect thing to negate 100% of this boss's chance of doing anything.
Yeah,
So the boss got what, like one attack off on us?
one attack.
Yeah, and it was a doozy of an attack. It was like it hit my character, and I took like 42 or 44 damage. I only had like 6 or 8 left after one
Yeah, I'm not
attack.
gonna lie. Even I was worried, and I was like, I
Yeah,
don't take a lot of damage.
yeah.
I'm like,
After that first hit, we're like, holy crap, we may die here.
yeah,
Um,
because I can't die. It was that, or when we were in the arena fight, and you let us have
which
the
one?
bard, and
Oh, Klein. Yeah,
And then John pulled Klein off the side and basically
yeah.
left him behind so he could save himself. That was pretty entertaining too.
Yeah, yeah. So in that fight, I had worded it very carefully that basically their entry fee was per person, but their exiting fee, they got the money for a person whether or not they lived or died. So then I gave them NPC character because that was a boys' night. We didn't have as many people, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll just give them an NPC to help them out a little bit with this fight because it's scaled a little bit higher level. And so then they just completely made Klein, the goblin I gave them, just cannon fodder for the entire fight. They're like, you know what? Screw this guy. I know he offered to help us, and he could be a great asset to our town, but we want his money. And the thing is, where he died, he didn't. It didn't even help John at all.
No,
Other than the gold. Like, it didn't help him live or anything. He was like, I believe he was knocked down on the ground with one death fail. And
he was in
then,
the spike pit trying to crawl up the side.
yeah, John was climbing up the spike pit.
Yeah,
Klein was at the top of the spike pit. And so then John tried to do a performance check, and I think he got like a 19 or a 20 on it to pull him down as he was climbing up. And since it was a pit, he took fall damage, which is a fail, his second fail. And then since his spikes, he took damage from that, which is his third fail. So it just completely obliterated this NPC that they otherwise could have healed. Um,
and then the worst part is, are you going to save him?
yeah.
And then they were like,
Nobody.
here, you make the decision. Of course, the way I built Kano, he's a stranger. I don't care.
Sure.
Nah, I'm taking the money.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you guys made some money out of that. You've made a lot of money out of that arena. Um, all right, and then back to the favorite thing that a DM has done.
Oh, easily, besides the play,
Mm.
would be when we did the arena fight. I believe it was our second arena fight. And then John somehow convinced the party to make another fight in the arena, and you
Oh
had to
yeah.
go cold turkey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, two
Yeah,
times you've made me plan things that were supposed to be planned much more in depth, and then just had to figure it out on the fly. Yeah, and you guys almost died in that arena fight, if I remember correctly.
John went down a handful of times.
Well, I don't
I
think you
think,
got hurt that much, did you?
I think I was at least half
Okay, gotcha.
at one point. I think Jarther was kind of low. I think.
Yeah, gotcha. Definitely
Sorry.
not as close as the last couple of sessions have been though.
Yeah, the
Cuz
last one's a bit.
like I was saying to somebody the other day, like for Kano specifically, Kano really didn't take that much damage for like the first really 6 or 8 sessions, like maybe below half a time or two. And then
Yeah,
like the last 2 or 3 sessions, like you're taking a lot of damage, which is also I think partly John's. I don't know if I would say fault is the right word, but he's learning
like
that a rogue plays on the back lines, and that
yeah.
leaves the tank barbarian to tank. You know,
Well, I also before we did the switch, I had fighter and paladin so I could heal myself.
correct. Mm,
So I could take second wind and then do cure wounds or whatever.
sure.
So the last couple's been a little more rough, not being able to heal.
Sure, yeah. Let's touch on that a second because obviously that's a very homebrew rule that allowed that. So
Yeah,
originally you were level 5, or were you level 4 or level 5 at the time? You were 5, right?
I was five because
Okay,
I was three barbarian, one fighter, one paladin.
got you. And then so basically they came across like a fountain that allowed them to change their class. It was kind of like a last huzzah to a previous party member that was in the campaign shortly. So I'm like,
Audio.
you know what? I'm gonna give them a chance to kind of reconfigure their party situation, change things up if they want. So and you just went at that point. You were barbarian fighter paladin, and you just went straight barbarian. And then now you've dipped into fighter again.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
But I'm not going to dip into paladin. I'm going to leave it straight barbarian
yeah.
fodder unless I do something crazy.
I had a feeling that you only took fighter because I made that one curse on you and you just wanted to get rid of it immediately. I don't know if that's the case or not, but
No, I wanted basically I wanted action surge in case we had
sure.
something that was really big, and I wanted to be able to try to knock out damage that way. If I ever dropped, the party in itself had a better chance of killing them off without Kano
Sure,
alive.
sure, sure. All right, if Kano could give advice to a new adventurer, what would it be?
Trust your party.
Trust your party. Very well said.
Yeah, because
Also, don't split the party, right?
well, Kano's Kano. He's going to fight. If he wins, he wins. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I think right now like especially with Jarthur and the way he cast haste and
Hmm.
boost him up. I kind of feel like it's like an adrenaline surge. Is how
Yeah.
Kano looks at it. So he's learning to trust a little bit more, especially since Zoro helped save him in the arena fight last time.
Hmm. Yep.
So he's building up that trust factor, and that's what I think he would say. You're going to have to learn to trust your party. Be true to who you are, but trust your party.
Sure. Which is very different from what Kano probably would have said at the very beginning of this campaign.
Yeah, yeah. Forget everybody. I'm out for me.
Yeah. All right. Where do you see your character heading? Like as far as class wise, and you leveling up. Like, are you gonna keep pursuing fighter? Are you gonna keep getting barbarian a little bit more? What's your
Um,
plans for the immediate future?
I think I'm going to go to at least level 3 in fighter.
That
Now,
way you can get a subclass.
well, I thought about it, and then I thought about maybe taking a little dip into monk for the
Hmm.
unarmed stuff, just for giggles.
Unarmor defense.
No, just like the flurry of blows.
Oh, okay, gotcha. It's a
I'm
bonus action.
having a more of a, I guess, unarmed attack. I have to do some research in it. I was just kind of
Sure,
looking at it. But I'll probably just go straight barbarian maybe for the rest
sure.
if he lives that long.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
Yeah,
I
at the
mean,
rate it's going, I don't
you
know.
you guys are going to, as of the recording of this video, you guys are about to take on some of the little bosses of the RTCs. So we'll see how those fights go.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be like that wizard in the temple or whatever he was
Yeah.
that didn't even get a turn.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was my turn where you guys completely obliterated my boss. He did get 2 turns actually, and the
Oh, did he?
first turn he did 2 damage. Second turn he did like 20 or 30, but it still wasn't nearly enough. But what are some of like Kano's goals in the campaign going forward? What is he like wanting to do?
He's wanted to find a place where he can, I think, where he wants to settle down. He can feel safe. Uh, especially now that he's getting a little closer to the party, kind of like wanting to be around people he's comfortable with, make it like he was back with his pride or his little village, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I think that's kind of where he's wanting to go back, where it's not so much he's on his own. I
Gotcha.
think
Very nice. All right.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So that concludes my questions. So is there anything else you want to talk about for Kano? Anything else about the campaign you want to talk about?
Um, no, not that I can think of.
All right. Sounds good.
I kind of like how it's been going so far, and can't wait to see where it goes from
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. It's only going to get better. Hopefully.
So,
Hopefully. All right. Well, that is all for today's character spotlight. So make sure you like, subscribe, and if you have any questions for Kano, just comment it down below and I will make sure that he answers them. Bye
I
bye.
got you. See ya.